Court. We meet here every Monday at 8 p.m. to talk about the storylines related to our New York Knicks. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification button so you'll be notified anytime we go live or drop a video. That includes the Queen's Court, Knicks and Bruises, the controversy, NBA Weekly, the NBA show. I forgot the title. But anyway, with Ron and John from Still Knicks Fans, and of course, Simeon Russell, the creator of the channel. Anything he drops, either through video or live, we got you covered for all your Knicks needs. Summer League just ended, so we're going to talk a bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about the Donovan Mitchell trade, but mostly focusing on the young guys, especially those that performed in the Summer League. Did we see enough of them to kind of change our mind on whether or not we will include them or not in the trade? We got a lot to cover, and we got a dynamite panel. Tony Crow, Knicks and Bruises, DJ Shuttle is in the house, Stafford Dawn, I am Jarrell, resident panelist of Dope Soul Sports Talk. How you doing, fellas?
What up,
Queen,
what up?
let me start off real quick and say you forgot International Andy.
Andy, that's
who
right.
dropped his first video.
Yes, he did.
Right.
Yes,
you
he
guys
did.
didn't see, go check that out on Nothing But Knicks channel.
That was
And
dope.
then I gotta give you your props, Queen. You always got a ill starting five on the panel every week. You know what I mean? You know she get fillings if somebody can't make it, but the starting five is always is. I put your starting five up against any Nick network, other than Sim, obviously, because
Right.
he got ringers.
Right.
I
actually feel blessed that when I ask people to come on, they not like, nah, I get back to you. I see what I can do. They always open to come on the show. So I don't take that for granted. I appreciate all of you guys.
Salute.
We appreciate you too, Steph.
All right.
Facts.
Listen, let's get right into it. Summer League just concluded. The Knicks won the championship game. They lost to Portland. Grimes was first team, made the first team All Summer League or All Summer League first team. But before I get into specific questions, just talk to me a little bit about, what you liked about the team during Summer League. What stood out for you? Who stood out for you? Yeah. Tony, and we'll just come around.
I mean, obviously you gotta start with Grimes. Similar to the RJ tweet that I believe was in January when he said, it's time to flip the switch or turn it on or whatever he said.
Mm-hmm.
Grimes went out and said before the Summer League, I want to dominate. He came in, he spoke it into existence. He put the work in, he showed improve. So I definitely got to start with Grimes. I was impressed with Deuce as well. I do have a question. I'll bring it up later. Remind me, Deuce Summer League compared to the G League, but definitely impressed with his output, especially as the games went on, and Sims and his bunnies, and then last but not least, Feron Hunt is one of my standouts, and I have a take on him as well. I'll get into a little later.
Okay, DJ Shuttle. Welcome. First time on Queen's Court. Appreciate you. We was chomping it up at the draft. At the draft party. So I appreciate you being on.
All aboard. Glad to be here. Salute to the chat. And thanks for having me. First time, hopefully not the last time.
It won't be as long as anytime you want to.
Well, I think I'm gonna take a different approach in terms of what impressed me about the Summer League. Because Big Tibbs has got so much backlash. I want to big up Big Tibbs for setting a culture of competitiveness, of hard work, and just laying the groundwork for guys like Grimes, Deuce, Sims, and Hunt to come into the Summer League and play the way they did. It's a reason why you got a lot of other teams. They got undrafted players, and like they don't have as four players that actually played in the league coming back to join, with a good coach like Tibbs. So I think that made a difference. And I think it helps to set the tone for these players coming back to the big league team as we get ready for preseason. So I want to big up Coach Tibbs. Obviously, all of our returning players from the league, from the league team this past year, all did exceptionally well. Tony didn't mention Sims, but Sims with the highlight bangers. So loving them Sims bangers. So I'm just disappointed that it's going to be hard for him to get minutes. But that's another story.
Right. We'll talk about that as well. Jarrell?
Thank you for having me again, Steph. Salute to everybody. I was mostly impressed with Sims because I saw stuff that Sims never did before. Mm-hmm. Whether I used to watch him in college when he was at Texas, he didn't show me any of that. Like Sims did a step back one day.
So I was between the legs. Did you see the between the legs as well?
Like what is happening? Like this is our Sims. So yeah, I think he was by far the most impressive to me, simply because I think I always thought Grimes can do what he was doing. He just had to be more assertive at it. Mm-hmm. I've seen him do some of that stuff before.
Good point.
Some of the stuff Sims was doing, he has never done before.
He brought the ball up the first 2 games.
Right. Like, that was crazy. I was like, what's going on with Sims? So, like, to me, it was Sims. He was my most impressive thing in the summer league.
Doing things we wish Mitch was doing.
See, I didn't want to get into that because I'm not, I'm not the biggest Mitch guy. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, it's stuff that Mitch.
I'm glad I could join your team on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, y'all trying to rile me up? I see what's going on.
I'm about to say because Steph, the captain of the team. I don't know if you know that. It's like Steph, the captain. I'm just
here. I got you.
Not me. Not with the Mitch. I'm not the captain of the Mitch team for sure.
No, I'm talking about for the Mitch team that's not really impressed with him. That's
yeah. I'm definitely the captain.
Yeah, so in just in one season. Sims has done more on the offensive end in one season than Mitch has done in 4 years. But, that's why I'm impressed with Sims. But everybody else kind of did what I thought they were supposed to. I was a little bit impressed with Hunt, just like Tone said, too. So I'm intrigued with Hunt, too. Yeah. But it was mostly Sims.
Queen, I just want to say, I'm sorry, Stafford, but this was not on the itinerary you sent me. I did not know we was gonna be bashing Mitch.
Oh, my bad.
No, we bigging up Sims.
Yeah, we just bigging up Sims. That's all. We know Mitch gonna get all the minutes, so he good.
My takeaway was these are shuttle big up Coach Thibodeau, but I'm gonna big up his disciple. Dice. Okay. I think Dice did a wonderful job with those kids. He implemented some different offenses that we never saw before, such as the Spanish pick and roll. I think they executed it. So some of the times they executed it well properly. I like the ball movement. They were sharing the ball. Another thing another standout was for me was also for Grimes. All the things that he said in the off season, I did see it in the game, going to the basket, taking it to the hole, not being scared at the moment, taking the big shots. So he was definitely a leader. My second person has to be Sims. I mean, Jarrell touched it, the step back, the jumper, the dunking on people, the highlight dunks. I mean, he was just showed out. He I think in the first 3 games he had a double, right? So he was definitely a showdown. And the third will have to be a toss up between McBride and Feron Hunt. And the third will have to be a toss up between.
We got some echo.
Yeah, you're getting the feedback. Mm-hmm. Okay. It'll be a toss up between Hunt and McBride. I mean, I like what I see with McBride, but the only thing with him I would like to see improve is getting passed by his man. We know he could shoot the jumper. We know he could shoot the 3, but we didn't get that enough ball penetration in the middle, with him, in my opinion. And Feron Hunt. I mean, nice guy, long wingspan. He's very athletic, Defensively, I think he had about 7 steals in the first game. But my only thing with him is that he doesn't have a shot. I mean, although I see him shoot the ball, but he was like 1 for 3, 1 for 4, stuff like that. So those were my takeaways from the summer league.
Yeah, I mean, I agree as far as Sims is concerned. Just seeing something different from him in terms of him handling the ball. He seemed much more confident out there on the floor as well. Grimes, it was good to see him taking the ball to the hole, going full court, finishing at the rim. I'm not sure if his role will be expanded next season, but if it is, I definitely would like to see him if he gets it on the outlet to be able to bring the ball up the court, and if he has it like he was doing, just going one-on-one, him finishing at the rim over one or two people. It was just that was really good to see. We'll talk more about it. His shooting, his splits were not that good. 41% from the field, 30% from three, 68% from the free throw line. We're going to talk more about that. I actually have the box score for the 5 games, so I will pull that up. McBride, I agree with Stafford, even though he does have problems getting past people. And then I also think his ball handling has to improve too. I mean, he got stripped a few times, playing around, with the ball. So I think his ball handling has to improve. But he was the most efficient player on the team. We're going to take a look at his splits as well. And I wonder if there's a role for him, depending on if we do the trade for Donovan Mitchell, and if we have to give up both IQ and D Rose just for the money, do you bring in another point guard, or are you comfortable enough with McBride just for that 12 minutes? It's not going to be a lot of minutes behind Brunson anyway. Just initiating the offense, playing good defense, hitting shots if the ball comes back to you. Are you comfortable enough with him in that role? And we'll talk more about it. Tony, you wanted to say something real quick?
Well, if you're gonna start with me, I can answer.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm comfortable with him. Like, I don't think it becomes something that we have to go look elsewhere for a point guard or a backup point guard, or I guess he would be the backup, maybe even third string if there's a scenario where Mitchell and Brunson are rotating in that position at times as well. Maybe you don't want to have both of them off the court at the same time, so one of them will always be on the court, and then kind of they could start together, and then they kind of share that facilitating or ball handling role. But my only concern with him would be we're already a short guard rotation. So if we're gonna look to bring somebody else in, I definitely want it to be defensive minded, which he is, but a lot taller and somebody that could maybe switch better, moving forward when they get time. But I'm not mad with keeping him. I think his defensive pressure brings a different dynamic than both Brunson and Donovan bring.
I mean, I think to answer my own question, on that second unit, you kind of, for me, I'm just thinking, it's just 12 minutes. But if that point guard is not on point, you could lose your lead. You could turn the ball over. The team don't run as well. And the next thing you know, you got to bring the starters back in. So we might do better. We might do better bringing in an experienced point guard. DJ Shuttle?
Well, I mean, I'd hate to lose Rose and IQ. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But if it meant that I got to keep Grimes, I would do that, because Grimes is the one young player between Obi, IQ, Grimes, Deuce, anybody else. Grimes is the one that I would like to keep the most. I think Grimes has more value in a scenario where you keep Randall and you have Brunson versus, IQ's replaceable because you could maybe keep Rose. You already got Brunson. If you trade Obi, you already got Randall, who's a 20-10 former All-Star now with better players around him. So I think Grimes has more playmaking ability than people think. And if you had to get rid of Rose and IQ, maybe this is finally the time that Rajon Rondo is the vet that gets signed that comes in. This would be the ideal scenario for bringing Rondo in on the cheap.
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, I think you do need a steady hand on that second unit.
I'm not really that comfortable with having the reins being in Deuce's hands as the backup point guard going into the season.
Yeah, because if you think about it, it may be that much worse in terms of him trying to get around people, and in terms of him on the offensive end. I think the defensive end, he'll be able to hold his own. It's the offensive and in terms of running the team and handling the ball.
I'm bringing in Rondo, vet minimum. Let's go, get him in there.
Tone?
No, I definitely like the Rondo idea, but what do you guys think of the like I said, where a situation where both of those guys are never off the court at the same time in a Donovan Mitchell and a Brunson, so they kind of, I don't want to say splitting the duties because they both start, but throughout the game, splitting the duties. Where now, McBride essentially still becomes third stringer. He'll get his minutes when needed, but not necessarily relying on him as a full time. Because that's the scenario. Right. So if I'm not doing that, then I agree with you guys. I'd rather get a veteran, somebody defensive minded, somebody that is still gonna stabilize this team.
DJ Augustine is still out there too.
He's still small though. I like Rondo better just because of the height. But
and the thing about it is, you're right. If you can find a taller point guard, there's times when Mitchell can. I mean, I don't think you want him to be your full-time point guard, but when Brunson is out, he can move over to the one, and then who you bringing in at the two? Maybe that's the time you bring in, Grimes or
Grimes.
Yeah. Shout out to Jay Boogie for the super chat. Appreciate you. Be sure to take that bag and stop by Knicks and Bruises and Dope Soul Sports Talk as well. Shout out to Johnny P. Appreciate you. Grimes was nice, but in the championship game, he got double teamed and he was forcing shots. We can't trade the big three. They have to stay with the big team. Who's the big three? Johnny P. Who's the big three?
I'm assuming that's
IQ, Quickly, and Grimes.
Okay.
That better not be no big three.
I was assuming it was RJ Randall and Brunson.
Yeah.
So let me pull up the stats for Summer League. And these are only those who played 5 games. So Quentin Grimes, averaged the most minutes, 30 minutes a game, 22.6 points per game. He put up 17 shots a game, shot 41% from the field, 31% from 3, 69% from the free throw line. He put up 11 3-pointers a game. Like, wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Miles McBride, basically 29 minutes, 16.8 points. He shot 50% from the field, 36% from 3, and 95% from the free throw line. He was by far our most efficient player. Jericho Sims, 11.6 points. How many rebounds? 9 rebounds, shot 80% from the field, still only 40% from the free throw line. So I think we were wondering if he would get better. He has not.
Right.
Feron Hunt, who played well, I think, and we'll talk about if that trade for Donovan goes through and we have, empty roster spots, do you feel comfortable with Hunt getting one of those? I think, is he 6'8"? something
Yeah.
along there.
6'7".
6'7". Okay,
6'7",
he looks
6'8", one of
taller
those.
than that, but okay, 11.4 points. He's 4 rebounds, 2.4 assists, 2.4 steals. Very active, but again, he shot 49% from the field. We just did not shoot the 3-point pointer well during summer
Right.
league. 27.3%, 66.7% from the free throw line. So I guess the question I have, and I'll leave this up here for a little bit. Are you guys worried at all about the inefficiencies in summer league? Or do you think that, hey, it's summer league, it's not nothing, to really worry about? And the reason I say that is because we weren't a good free throw shooting team. And it doesn't look like, other than Miles McBride, this team wasn't a good free throw shooting team. We weren't a good field goal shooting team. And other than McBride and, well, Micah shot 59%, but he plays under the rim.
Right.
Daquan Jeffries, he shot 48% from the field. Okay, all right, not too bad. But just any concerns about the inefficiencies of the players, Tone?
All right, you made it interesting because I was gonna ask you, was Quentin Grimes' efficiency in particular a concern? For me, Grimes' efficiency wasn't a concern because again, new role for him, right? A role that is not going to be necessarily his role with the main team. So this was just a chance for him to kind of expand on some of his game and things of that nature. I think even if he has the same type of shots in the regular season, they're going to be more open shots because of who he's surrounded by. So him in particular, I'm not concerned with. But I didn't think about it until you just said it as far as the team, because now it makes me wonder how much of this is because of the not the structure of the roster, but the philosophy of the team. You know what I mean? Is there something that we could do to help the team overall bring that field goal percentage up? Because when we're talking about the big team, that's was a concern last year. I think Brunson does change that a little bit. Obviously Donovan will change that a little bit because I think other guys will have easier shots. But it's just something that popped into my mind. But summer league as a whole, I wouldn't be that concerned with it. The funny thing is, our main guys are the ones that really didn't shoot well, percentage wise. Some of the other guys that are fighting for a shot and a spot or whatever to be seen, those guys shot a lot better than the Grimes, the Sims, not necessarily McBride, who you said did shoot well. So it's interesting.
Anybody else want to answer that question, or is there anything about the stats that stood out for you?
I actually think it's a completely different game. I don't put efficiency into play when it comes to the summer league. Like Grimes went out there on a mission. Like he was way more aggressive than he would be, during the regular season on the roster. So yeah, I don't put that much into it. Just like Deuce, I don't expect Deuce's splits to be like that during the regular season either. So yeah, I don't put too much into it. And when it comes to the shooting and to get more efficient as a team, I don't know how you fix that though. I really don't.
Gotta keep shooting.
Keep shooting, like, other than practice, but yeah, I don't see how you fix that as a team, especially free throws. Like, how do you fix free throws as a team? Like, that's supposed to be an individual thing that they should be working on.
Well,
Right.
I just think that I was surprised to find in my research, just looking up the notes from last year, this prior season, Grimes actually shot 68% for the season, which I was a little bit surprised by because, like, unlike a guy like RJ, who's a little bit more herky jerky, doesn't really have a smooth stroke. Like, I can see Grimes shooting 40% and 30% from three, shooting with this kind of high volume, but I would still look at him and expect 80, 85% from the line just off rip. So I don't want to say I'm concerned at this point, but it definitely got my eyes on it.
Right.
I gotta agree with Shuttle too. it's not really a big concern, but you have to keep your eye on it. But basically, we wanted to see what these guys gonna look like, going into the future. You know, Grimes looked good. He showed us, as I said before earlier, he showed us what he been doing with Penny Hardaway for the past 2 seasons. You know, but I think it's just a showcase for them to get better, and the coaches to see where they improve that, and maybe not maybe, but for the guys who didn't do well, they had, as what Tony was saying, they have to step up their game to show that they could either get a spot on the G League team or the probably get a two-way contract or however it may be. But we needed to see what our main guys done over the summer, the Grimes, the Sims, and the Quentin. But as far as the free throws, it's definitely a little concern, but not nothing to really go overboard.
I mean, listen, I would be concerned, but Tony brings up a good point. His role is going to be smaller on the Knicks. He's not going to be shooting 17 shots a game. He's not going to be shooting 11 3-pointers a game. I think the more shots you take, unless you're a knockdown shooter, that's more opportunity for your percentage to come down, which is what we saw with Grimes. But I think it was good, at least for me to see, because I'm a huge Grimes fan.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I don't say I was overplaying him a bit, because he did show me his ability to go to the rack or whatever. But in terms of him being like a starter, I think I pulled back just a little bit.
Right.
And think that he might need to marinate a little more himself, unless the starting five is just so stacked that you can have one guy that you not really, he's just like Mikal Bridges, and I'm not downplaying Mikal Bridges, but though he's playing off of those guys.
Right.
They're not looking to him to generate offense. He's playing good defense. He's just ready when they do kick the ball out to him. Like if you put Grimes in a role like that, yes, I think he could start. But in terms of like being like a focal point of an offense, I'm not. I don't think he's ready
no
right
way.
now.
I think that.
Can I say one more thing before you go, Tony? In the offense, right? When I was talking about Spanish pick and roll, with that, right? With that particular offense, it's a lot of opportunities for him to shoot a lot of threes. That's why you see in the first game, he shot like over about 5 to 6 threes in the first half and probably missed like about 4 of them. So in that offense, whether he comes off the bench or he's starting, it is going to allow him to take those shots, because those shots is going to be open. Because let's say, for instance, when Deuce brings up the ball, whoever the power forward got to come and make the pick. Now, once they make the pick and Deuce go around, the roller rolls. Now, if the defender rolls with Deuce and with Sims, he could always kick it back out to the popper. And if the popper gets is on they defending him good, he could always swing it out. So that's why you see Grimes was getting all those 3-point shots, right? So I wouldn't say necessarily he's not going to get all those shots, but those shots are going to be there for him to knock down when the opportunity is there. So he has to knock down those shots. Go ahead, Tony.
I was just gonna say, I think that's a good point, and it begs the argument that maybe he's better off in that starting unit because of who he'll be surrounded by. Now he can focus on the defense, focus on the shooting. Granted, we love the fact that he showed that he can do more, but even trying to do more in that second unit is going to be, excuse me, a more difficult task, because those second unit players are theoretically better than who he was going up against in this summer league. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I would make the argument. Same thing I used to say about Mitch. Come in, focus on what you are good to great at, right? Focus on your strengths. Fill that role, and then off season, preseason, summer league, G League, whatever. Use those other times for the opportunity to expand your game until you're ready. I don't want him to come in with the mindset, even if it's in the second unit, that I have to dominate, and then potentially try to do too much, and or it hinder him. Where
I was thinking the same mind frame, Tony, before the Spider talk, and even though I was thinking it might not start the season that way, I feel like even though Fournier might not be so great in terms of like receiving it, I feel like Fournier coming off the bench would excel more because he's been the go-to guy for several years, and he's already shown he can hit 18 points a game in the NBA. So putting him on a second unit is like, all right, we got like a sniper 6-man. Grimes starts, he's not doing well. Boom, you just put Fournier right in there. You know what I'm saying?
But he had a problem with that, DJ Shuttle. Thibodeau is not going to play. Thibodeau's going to play his vets. And I doubt Grimes going to get that starting position right there. Even though we the fans think he should start,
I think that's a false narrative.
You think so, Tony?
That's a false narrative. He's gonna play who he feels gives you the best chance to win. If it happens to be a vet, it's gonna be a vet. But if he thinks that the chemistry and the success of the team, defensive or the starting unit defensively and offensively is more balanced with a Grimes, and then it feels the same way with Fournier and on the bench, or as a 6-man role is more balanced with that second unit, I don't see any reason why he doesn't. I think it's a false narrative that he relies on the vets as opposed to his belief that he relies on the guys that's going to give him the best chance to win.
But Tony, he's making $17 million a year. I don't think they're going to just bring him in to make him come off the bench.
But let me just say this, and then I'm gonna let the bowling chick introduce her, and then allow her to come right in and give her opinion. The only thing I'll say to that is Grimes could start. Fournier is still going to get the most minutes.
Exactly.
So starting doesn't always mean you're going to get the bulk of the minutes. I can't see Grimes getting more minutes than Fournier. So he would start. He might even close because of his defense. But I still see Fournier getting the most minutes if he's still on the team. Shout out to the bowling chick, made her debut on Dope Soul Sports Talk last Tuesday and killed it. So she decided to join us today. How are you?
I'm good. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, we definitely can. We talked about a lot of things, but the last things we were talking about was, what was the last question? Was it Grimes
starting?
Grimes, yes. Any thoughts on that conversation?
So in the beginning of Summer League, my first thought was, because he was, really balling out, I thought that would be the best thing for him. I thought that he could come in, start, and like you kind of said not too long ago, that, if he's not having a great game or whatever, Fournier would still take the bulk of the minutes. After watching him throughout the Summer League, we saw him make bunches of things that he wasn't able to do, or wasn't showing, we'll say, during the regular season, as far as putting the ball on the floor. He probably did try to do a little too much in the Summer League championship game, but that's when he had, it was constantly double teamed. They were trying to take him left and things of that nature. So my second inclination would be maybe he shouldn't start, but at the same time, he would be surrounded by scorers if we make this trade. So the pressure really wouldn't be on him to go out and, average 15 or 16. He doesn't have to do that. He just needs to defend and make the occasional spot up three, or, the catch and shoot three. So I'm kind of 50-50 on it. But if I had to give you a strong take, it really depends on, if Mitchell's here. If Donovan Mitchell's here, that's not even a question, right? Obviously, at that point.
I didn't even go yet. I wanted to say that.
So there's that. Problem. But if the trade doesn't happen, or we, let's say Utah holds this stance and they want all the things, like they said in the Statue of Liberty too, like they said not too long ago. Then in that case, let's say we go into the regular season, I would still want Grimes to start, but I wouldn't be angry if Fournier starts because I know he's going to get those closing minutes. One thing Thibs prefers more than anything is defense. So I think Grimes will start eventually this season, even if he doesn't begin the season like that.
Let's see. I think the problem with Grimes starting, that means we didn't get Donovan Mitchell.
It's a big problem.
So you don't want to even have that conversation.
Yeah, I don't even want to have this conversation. What are we talking about? Like Evan Fournier minutes now? Like I don't even care about that anymore. Like I'm on the Donovan Mitchell train right now. So
it's the best train.
Like, don't get me wrong. I want to keep Grimes in the trade, right? So I'm still not worried about him starting or his minutes if Donovan Mitchell was here. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And I was just gonna say, to your point, Jarrell, you said, I'm sorry, Bowling Chick, pleasure to meet you, Tony Crow, Knicks and Bruises. Hope you subscribed as well.
Big fan. Your Blackest Time.
Tony,
your Blackest Time. Appreciate you
working. I like that.
Appreciate you. But yeah, you was like the question is if Donovan Mitchell is there, we have questions if he's here defensively, but obviously it's not going to be whether Grimes is going to play in ahead of him. But yeah, there are question marks though still if we have Mitchell. So I just want to not act like that disappears. We're gonna have to figure some things out defensively still.
Well, I figured we was gonna get into that. I actually think we'd be okay. But I figured we was gonna get into that later, like the defense with like our backcourt being short and all that.
We're definitely gonna talk. Yeah. We're definitely gonna talk.
That
was
about my that. Fault. I brought it up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's totally fine.
Always.
So, well, let's get into it now. In the Donovan trade, proposed Donovan Mitchell trade, Utah's front office wants, draft picks, but they also want 2, 3, 4 young players. It changes. Anything about the summer league performance make you feel like, yeah, you know what? I wanted to hold this guy out. It's okay if he's in, or I wasn't even thinking about holding this guy out, but he played so well. I think we should hold him out as the last resort as well. Anything about the summer league performances that changed your mind in terms of who you would like to include or not include in a trade for Donovan Mitchell? Tony?
I could get mine off real quick if you want.
Go ahead.
I don't care at all. Zero. I don't care. Nothing happened in the summer league to make me think that anybody can come and go in that Donovan Mitchell trade other than RJ Barrett on this team.
Okay. All right.
I mean, very, very similar. I never really care. I figured we got to give up pieces to get the guy like Mitchell. There's nobody that is better than Mitchell, or I believe personally has the potential to be better than Mitchell going forward. So no. But one thing that I was one of the people that I hate the Cam's automatically involved in any trade. I think a lot of teams are interested in him, but I'll say for Feron Hunt, he definitely gave me some I'll say relief that if Cam is gone, I think he's a guy that kind of is similarly built, has some of the similar attributes, not the same potential, but I think he could come in and play a defensive role, an energy role, and maybe get some minutes if we lose a Cam. So I'll say Hunt.
I'm rolling with Jarrell, man. Look, the whole summer league team could go.
Not the whole team.
I'm not attached to none of these players, bro. I'm dead serious. So it really don't matter to me who they put in the trade, because as Tony said, you're gonna have to give up some assets to get something back. So if it's a Feron Hunt, a Grimes, a Jefferson, whoever is on the team, even
those guys wouldn't be included in the trade.
Yeah,
but I'm
excited. Tony, I'm just trolling though.
We have potential young guys that could step in their place and kind of fill a role. They probably have a longer time to grow to fill those roles. But I'm saying that's something that as a different angle, because we can't trade a Feron Hunt, but if we got to lose a Obi, a Cam, we got somebody that could step in. If we got to lose an IQ, maybe Montero becomes the two-way guy and can work his way up into the system. So that was encouraging. There's more young guys out there. If we got to give some of these guys up,
they can have Johnny Bryant back too. I'm trading everybody besides RJ Barrett that's associated with the Knicks.
Nothing in the summer league. I mean, I'd love to keep Sims. I felt that if Mitchell comes, Grimes is he helps the rotation. That's an important piece of the rotation. If you're gonna have to give up so many players and so many draft picks, he's a guy you can maybe keep long term as a solid backup. But if that's really the deal breaker, I mean, I'm not gonna let that stop the deal from getting done. But he's the one that I would most want to hold on to. Like I said before, you can get rid of Obi. You already got Randall. You can get rid of quickly. You already got Brunson. So I'm good. You probably got to trade Fournier to make the deal happen with the numbers. So you got to have a backup shooting guard. And this Keels ain't ready. And there's no other shooting.
Don't break your neck, Jarrell.
There's no other backup shooting guard that's going to be available on the team, which is why I would want to strongly hold on to Grimes because he fits a role and he could actually play in the backcourt with Mitchell or with Brunson, and I think he could excel in that role. So, but yeah, you already got Hartstein, so Sims can go. Like you said, Cam's are probably a foregone conclusion. Hunt's done well, so. But if he goes,
so DJ, what you telling me, right? What you saying to me is that in order to get Donovan Mitchell, you would not give up Grimes. You would want to hold on to him. Is that what you're saying?
I said that when it comes to all the players, that the young players that the Jazz are going to probably want, Obi and IQ, being in consideration, Grimes is the one of the big three that I would like to hold on to. Okay. However, I also say that if it's a deal breaker, then do what you got to do. But that should definitely reduce maybe the draft pick numbers.
Right, absolutely.
Maybe going from 5 to 4 or something like that.
Right.
If you're also stuck on Grimes, then that's got to be one less draft pick or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he's a pivotal piece to the complete part of the team. I think that just it can't be overlooked.
This is why I don't have. I agree with you. I would like to hold Grimes back if I can, but it's not a deal breaker. It's not a deal breaker. But this is what I think also. If the Knicks go this route, I don't think that second team is going to be full of young players. I think if they go this route, I think they're going to look for vets. And basically, they're trying to be. We here, Tony. They're trying to be a perennial playoff team. So yeah, you're going to keep one or two young players that you're developing, but I don't see a second team, full of young people. I think they're going to hit that free agent market. They're going to hit that veteran minimum market, and they're going to try to find some veterans for the second team. Sure, there'll be one or two. I think if Sims is not in that trade, they'll still keep Sims. He'll be situational and develop him. I think they may still.
They can't trade Sims.
They can't trade Sims. Okay.
Signed him.
Yeah. Right. And don't be surprised if, say, Fournier doesn't go in the trade. I don't think Cam is going because they don't want to pay him. Don't be surprised if Fournier and Cam is traded for someone else.
Right.
So I think there's more moves to be made. I don't think it's going to be Donovan backed up by IQ, OB. I just don't see it. I see the Knicks really wanting some vets in that second team. What do you guys think about that?
Hey, that's more reason if Fournier isn't traded to put him into that role. Like I was saying earlier, balance things out. My question would be, or two things. I don't want to include Cam and Grimes, that's for sure, because now we're out of all potential backup two guards. So my question is, if Grimes has to go, are you guys comfortable with Cam being able to play the two guard in the second unit, or the three if if Fournier is still on the team, just to give us some defensive potential still, some shooting potential still, and obviously I think he has a lot more potential overall.
Oh, I don't have a problem with it.
I mean,
If he's not included in the trade, the only thing I say is I don't think the Knicks are going to sign him. So even if they do keep him, somewhere toward the trade deadline, they got to make a decision, as opposed to losing him
for nothing,
or having a big restricted free agent contract come their way that they know that they're not going to match. They got to get ahead of that.
But we don't even know what his value is. Like I wouldn't even put him in the category of a guy that is demanding, expecting, or want, or I'm not gonna say wanting, because everybody wants the max. You know what I mean? But a lot of times, and obviously I'm not referring to you, Queen, but a lot of times us fans think because a guy is max eligible or it's time for extension eligibility that we have to give him the full max. He may be willing to take a 1 year prove it. He may be willing to take a multi-year deal,
Mitchell Robinson type contract,
just to secure some
I wouldn't even give him a Mitchell Robinson type contract unless he proved a little more to me. We listen, our money right now is about to get real tight.
Yep.
If we sign RJ, we sign Mitchell, yes, we can go over the cap, but you go over the cap and what you're going to find is you're going to be paying a luxury tax for a team that's not even a championship type of team. Like Golden State hit it perfectly. They pay a lot, but they got a championship team. You don't mind paying, We add in Cam and all of these people we paying. We can go over the salary cap to do it. But what do you have a championship team?
But I also think it's a fair, like I'm not gonna overpay to keep him. You know what I mean? But if it's a fair deal, and I don't know if the Mitchell number would deter me 100%. I prefer it a little bit lower, but I think two things. You could put him in, let him go to restricted free agency, and either match it based off of what the deal is worth and how much you value him. You could let him go to restricted agency and have an option for a sign and trade where you get some value back. So I think it's a lot of options. I wouldn't automatically assume that he's gone and the Knicks don't want to pay him just because we gave up assets to get him. So again, what was
if
the
he's
point?
Traded, we'll get somebody back for him.
Agreed.
We'll get somebody back for him.
Last point: if his value is up financially, so let's say it's a $10 million a year, like 3 years, 30 million, 3 years, 33, something of that. That also makes him valuable in a trade moving forward, because now it takes up some more salary cap in that trade with some potential. So I just want to throw it out the window.
The other thing I would say, real quick,
Go ahead,
Stafford.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Counting on signing trades, that's tricky. That's not a definite. Look at what happened with Dallas. It's not a definite that let him go to restricted. We either gonna match it or we'll do a sign and trade. That sign and trade is not definite. You still taking a little bit of a chance.
The difference though is restricted to unrestricted. Brunson doing a sign and trade only benefits Dallas. You know what I mean? And, well, I shouldn't say only, but like they don't have a choice in the matter. Where if it's restricted, hey, we could either match it or we could work something out. That's where you have some leverage still, and you don't get to go to the team you wanted to, and that team, you know what I mean? You don't get the guy you were trying to sign. So I think in restricted free agency,
it's a little different.
You still have some leverage there.
Right. But that last year in restricted free agency is not there. I found that out too. Like you get the extra year, that's no longer. Shout out to Paris Duggar. Grimes was out to show playmaking. If he's playing off ball with Brunson, RJ Randall ready to shoot, he's deadly. That along with his DSP. Yeah, I agree. But
Of course.
one of the things you got to hit the shot. Because we always talk about, oh, we got shooters. IQ is a shooter. IQ shot 30-something% from three. You know, oh, Grimes is a shooter. Grimes, you got to hit it though to be considered a shooter. You know, you got your percentages have to be there. The form, this is not gymnastics. You don't get no points for a nice form. You gotta hit the basket. So let's see if Grimes' percentage, it looks good. And he should be able to do it. Let's see if he's able to.
Can we really fall back on this IQ as a shooter thing? Can we really fall back on that?
That's what I'm saying. When you look at the numbers, it doesn't bear it out.
Nothing he does looks like a shooter.
Tony, I wanted to ask you a question.
So you want
Cam,
IQ?
right?
I see you want IQ going in the trade.
No. If they want him, they can have him. If they want him, they can have him. You know what I'm saying? If he stays, if he's here, I'm cool with him being the backup to Brunson. Let's just say no deal happened. He's the backup to Brunson. He's playing 12 minutes a game, 14 minutes a game. Cool, you know. But he got to be reeled in, man. Like, this guy is like a little too erratic, and you know, like this Steph Curry ball got everybody thinking. They get, you know, all right. We got another Curry. We got Trae Young. Okay, we got two. It's like T-Pain said. We got Lil Baby, the baby. We got enough babies. We got Steph Curry. We got Trae Young. That's enough of your half-court shooters. Rest of y'all like step in a little step or two. Take it easy. IQ's killing me with them shots, man. Come on, man.
That's the.
So
go ahead, Staffer.
Go ahead.
No.
I wanted to ask Tony about the whole Cam situation. So Cam been in the league, what, going on 3 years, 4 years now?
4 years coming up.
Same as RJ.
All right, going on 4 years now. Now, Tony, I want you to put on your GM hat, right? What do you think Cam is worth right now if you say he was a signing? Because we haven't seen much of him except probably, let's say, 10 games out of the 4 years, probably. I don't know. So what are you trying to pay him, or what do you think his worth is?
The max that I would give him is the deal that Mitchell Robinson has. I would prefer to keep it lower than that, but that would be the max that I give him. I think the biggest thing that has hindered Cam Reddish is the same thing that has hindered Mitchell Robinson, and that's injuries. That's availability. I think if this guy was available throughout the 4 years, we'd be having a totally different conversation.
Exactly.
But part of the problem with him is getting hurt. Just like Ntilikina, but to a lesser degree, having to reestablish yourself every time you get hurt and find that balance and that peak, and then you get hurt again, and then you're trying to reestablish that stuff. So I think if he was injury free, I think we have a different conversation. I think maybe, I'm hoping, obviously I don't want injury on nobody, but I think that's the biggest thing that's holding him back. Injuries more than anything else. We all agree, super talented, has all the tools, but when you're not available, I mean, you can't showcase any of that. Or when you showcase it, it's out of sight, out of mind when you're not there to showcase it like we've seen. So
yeah. But I think it's more to Cam than just injury, why he hasn't reached his ceiling. I think injury is one of them, but there's also been concerns about his motor, and there's also been concerns about he's always been talented, but he just doesn't have that, I'm going to go out and get it. Right. I'm going to be a dog, and I'm going to show you what I can do. That's also an issue with him. The second thing is, nobody wanted Brogdon because of his injuries, but we want to re-sign Cam. I was looking at his the games played, it looked like Brogdon.
Right.
It looked the same.
And he's younger.
It looked the same. I'm like, well, if we gonna sign him, then we, But I get it. Brogdon's contract is a little higher.
Right.
A lot higher.
A lot higher. Well, it depends. He is like what 20 something. If you're gonna give him 15, I don't know. I'm not that high on Cam, not because of his talent. It's because I've seen it so many times. High talented guys that just don't reach it. High talented guys that just don't get after it. And you keep paying them for potential and paying them for potential, and you don't get your money's worth. I've seen it a lot.
I have a question and a concern. Because a lot of the times we talk about Cam and we talk about that ceiling, right? The question is, can he be somewhere above his floor and we be comfortable with who he is as a player, and him not necessarily reaching that ceiling, or are we holding that ceiling as a standard where we devalue him if he doesn't reach that? And then
I'm not devaluing him.
No.
I think, to answer your question, if we're paying him for what we've seen so far, that's different. A lot of times people, we need to re-sign Cam. We need to, we need to do this. We need to do this because he has the potential to be a superstar.
Right.
Like, let's get off of that.
Mm-hmm.
Just from what we've seen so far, he's a middle of the road guy. Because when you look at him, people will say, he's 6'8". He got this wingspan. He could play this defense. He can shoot. He could this. He could that. I haven't seen all of that. He has the potential to do that, but I haven't seen all of that. Even in the games that he's played, when he averaged 25 minutes with Atlanta, that's enough time. That's not like 18 minutes or 7 minutes. 25 minutes is a significant amount of time.
It is, but you got to also take into fact that the games played. You know what I mean? If it's 25 minutes in 25 games, you know what I mean? It's hard to base it off of. It's hard to base it off the minutes, and it's hard to base it off the production because we don't know what is real because it hasn't been there consistently or consistently. But one of my questions, as far as the concern, because this does concern me a little bit with Cam and his ceiling compared to his floor and somewhere in between. I mean, he's already been on record in saying he sees himself as a star. So I wonder if that will hinder him. And is he okay? Is he okay not reaching his ceiling, or is he trying to force the ceiling as opposed to being okay with where he falls somewhere in between? You know what I mean? I want everybody.
I'm gonna let the bowling chick answer, give her thoughts on Cam, and then anybody else who wanna chime in can do so.
Well, I think the first question was, will we be comfortable with Cam Reddish replacing Grimes if Grimes was involved in the trade?
Yeah.
That's
that young memory right there.
I had to reach back. I was struggling. No, but I like the question. But I would feel very comfortable with it. I think last year's injury that he had was a fluke injury. It just sucks that it happened the way it did. And he was starting to come into his own, starting to get minutes and trust from Tibbs, and that freak injury that he had. I think the year before he had an ACL. I mean, that kind of happens. I can't say that he's not going to be a good player just because he has freak injuries. Now, I know it does seem to follow some players too, so I get that. But personally, I would love to have him replace Grimes. I don't want Grimes to go, but if that's, if it comes down to, from like even kind of going back to the original question, they're not getting 4 young players. They're not. They can get 2. And if that's the case, and Grimes is one of them, okay, I'm fine with that in that situation. But as far as determining his value, I mean, that's really tough. That's really tough to figure that out because we haven't seen it. We've seen flashes. We know it's there. But will we see it for at least 70 games? I would be very happy with 70 games and 25 minutes.
I would be happy too.
Yeah.
I mean, but he's not a big man, so it's kind of different than like Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson scares me a hell of a lot more than Cam Reddish. And Reddish is still extremely young. But again, maybe I just sound like a bit of a a Cam fanatic. I am. I'm a fan of the kid. I
I'm
think
with you.
he's got the goods. I just do. The
I'm not
question though,
denying that.
right? I know you not. I know you not. There's so much with it. What we do know though is Utah. At least I don't know for a fact, but based on what we've seen on Twitter, these rumors and stuff, it sounds like they're not interested in Reddish. So I think we're gonna get some Reddish minutes this year, and he'll get his opportunity. If I'm Cam, I'm excited this trade is happening because I'm finally gonna get 20 minutes a game, unless Tibbs
At
really hates
least.
me.
Right.
So we'll see how Tibbs feels about it. Go
I,
ahead.
I just think that in terms of your question, Tony, about like how do we feel like his psyche, right? I'm thinking, well, I came in as a top recruit with RJ. Now basically here I am backing up RJ. You know what I'm saying? And the way RJ, RJ's a horse. RJ's gonna play his 32 to 35 minutes a game. So if Cam is essentially RJ's backup, does he have the psyche to be comfortable being RJ's backup? Because that's what he is going to be.
Good point.
And two, if he's RJ's backup primarily and not really getting any shooting guard minutes, then he's not getting more than 15 minutes a game.
Nope.
Right.
He's probably going to be at like where the Obi minutes were, and everybody was like, Obi's got to get more minutes. Obi's got to get more minutes. Cam is going to be in that type of minutes count. And, listen, he's probably in the open market right now. If he was a free agent this year, he probably would have been somewhere in like the $9 million per year range.
Wow.
I would think. I mean,
Wow.
listen, now let me just take a look. So Kyle Anderson, he got $9 million per year. Otto Porter got $6 million per year. So, I mean, because of his age and his potential, he's got to be somewhere between that 6 and that 9 million, I think.
Yeah, he might get a little more. But you bring up a good question in terms of those. Go ahead, the bowling chick. You wanted to say something?
I was just gonna say that Cam is really versatile, though. He can get him into the 2, the 3, and the 4. And if we make that big trade,
So Obi's not
sure. Say it again.
So Obi's not playing at the 4.
He might not be. He might be in that trade.
Right.
And if that's the case, then I mean we can use him in all those spots. But that's just my opinion.
Little small ball, maybe.
I mean, I don't know if Tibbs is willing, but the minutes will be there, and I know that he can do that.
I think if the trade actually happens, say we get Donovan Mitchell, it kind of completely changes the complexion of this team. We can't afford to risk Cam on waiting for Cam if Donovan Mitchell is here. Like I'm in full blown win now mode then.
It does change a lot of things.
Yeah, that changes a lot for me when it comes to Cam or anybody else when it comes to risking a contract on a young unproven player going forward.
I don't think it's wasting it or excuse me, I don't think it's waiting for him. It's showing proof time. You know what I mean? Like it's time for you to kind of show what you could do. But there's no reason to rush the move, especially if we're losing Grimes, because I feel like somebody's gonna have to fill in with some of the shooting and some of the defense. I'm not saying he's the shooter that Grimes is or the defender, but on our current roster as it stands, who is? I would think he's next in line to kind of fill some of those voids if Grimes is gone.
Right. And we can always trade him at the deadline. That still gives you an opportunity to see him and see what he is or what he can become.
Quickly, Steph, another reason that I'm very strong on the hold on Grimes is that I think it's very, very obvious that Randall is likely not being included in the deal with Utah unless the talks of the Lakers 3-way deal happens, a whole other story. But just assuming it's only with Utah, Randall's not going to be in that deal. So to make the numbers work, most likely Fournier has to be included in the deal. So to lose Fournier's shooting and then lose Grimes shooting on top of that is too much shooting being lost. So that's another reason why, for me, Grimes is a very, very strong hold to keep.
But another thing too, I feel. Go ahead, Queen. Read the super
I want to read these super chats real quick. Shout out to Bobby Santiago. We need to see the young guns play. I am a native Long Islander and would love to see Donovan Mitchell in New York, but for once in a long time, we are young. Donovan Mitchell is young. So when you trade for Donovan Mitchell, you're still going to be young. Donovan Mitchell is 25 years old.
Mm.
Daji, Graybeard, we just need to let Cam play this year, see exactly what we have in him, and let him reach restricted free agency going into next summer.
Agreed.
And lastly, Paris Doug, appreciate you for the super chat. IQ and Grimes aren't lottery picks, though they were 25th. Why the impatience for first and second year 25th picks like Grimes and quickly is a straight up playmaker? It's not about being impatient, in my opinion. It's about if a better player comes along, you have to say what's the upside of the player we have. What are the chances that this player will become what that player is? And again, you're not gonna ever know that question with certainty. You're playing the percentages, So if you got an opportunity to get Donovan Mitchell, you got to ask yourself, what's the chance that IQ will become Donovan Mitchell? He might, but is that a chance you want to take? And I think that's what puts the pressure on the front office. You got to keep in mind, front offices can get fired for moves they make, but also for moves they fail to make. And that's why they get paid the big bucks to make these tough decisions. You don't make this trade because you don't want to put in an extra draft pick, and Donovan Mitchell, who is yet to reach his prime, blows up. We looking here like sitting here like we were with Lowry in his prime. Like, wow, we should have just gave up that first round draft pick. Our point guard issues would have been over, but we didn't, and we was in purgatory for another 10 years. It seemed like
I think
probably wasn't that long.
Wasn't it Iman Shumpert they wanted in the deal, and they wouldn't give up Iman, like right? Wasn't that it? I thought it was the player that they wanted.
I thought it was a first round draft pick, but it could have been. But even now, look at Iman. See, that's the point I'm trying to make. And even if you don't get fired,
podcast,
right? Even if you don't get fired because you're long gone anyway, you set the franchise back by not making those moves. Where would we be if Lowry was here? Where would we be if somebody, because we didn't want to put in this playing, we didn't want to put in, where would the franchise be? Probably a little further along. So we got to think about that as well.
I hope people not out here thinking that IQ is going to turn into Donovan Mitchell, though. He's not.
But,
he'd be a good player in his own right, but he's not going to be Donovan
Appreciate
Mitchell.
you,
He's
Sam.
not that type of player.
Knicks didn't want to trade Shumpert. See what I'm saying? But in all fairness, this was before Lowry popped. And that's what makes it tough decisions. So it's the same thing with Brunson. We got him before he really hit his stride. Donovan Mitchell already hit his stride. There should be no question.
And he's not even in his prime yet.
He's not even in his prime yet. Yeah, yeah.
So Queen, Queen, in the initial trade with Utah, right? They wanted all young players, right? They never mentioned anything about no old players. So I don't think they would want Fournier, DJ Shuttle. I honestly do. And the only reason why I say that, listen, hear me out. The only reason why I say that because he has 2 years on his contract. It's not an expiring contract. If it was an expiring contract, maybe. But if you check out the initial trade, was all young players. You don't even want Randall.
Yo, listen.
But they're gonna have to take one to make the salaries match.
Yeah, there's no way the trade can happen without Randall or Fournier. And the Knicks don't want to give up Randall. Rose maybe, but listen, if you want all these damn picks, tell you what, I don't want to give up all the picks, just like you don't want to take on Fournier's contract. So we gotta have a situation where it's a miserable marriage and we both unhappy, and that's how it's gonna be.
So let me ask you this. What you willing to give up? More picks and players, or just either way? Yeah, I think those two. Either more picks, just picks, I should say, or picks and players.
But you have to have a matching salary.
Right. No, but I'm saying if they say they just want 6 picks, and his first round picks. We give them 6 protected and 6 unprotected.
But you gotta match
You still
Stafford.
have to
You
match
still
the
have to match
salary.
his salary. We still got to send them $30 million worth of players,
or 25 million. I think.
or 25 million worth
Something
of
like that.
players.
Yeah.
They
Hey,
still,
Stas,
no matter what,
It's just easy to put him in that
Yeah,
because he makes
he's what 17 million. Right.
17.
big chunk.
But listen, this is what I will say. Why, and Tony, I'm gonna get to you about letting these young cats go. Number one, at some point you're gonna have to pay them. If they're playing behind, who we got? Brunson,
They're not going to start. None
Donovan
of them
Mitchell, RJ, Randall, Mitch. How many? And these are high usage. These guys play a lot of minutes. It's not going to be a lot of minutes left. I think in a situation like that, get actual second teamers, get actual players that play 12 to 15 minutes. And maybe you want to keep 1 or 2 young players for upside. But IQ is playing 12 minutes a game. You keeping they playing 16 minutes a game. That's all you're gonna get. And Obi and IQ's contract is up. So now you're extending them. You're gonna pay them more money further, restricted what we can do to upgrade this team, and they only playing 12 minutes a game. I just think let them rock in Utah, get their playing time, and we need to go and get some bona fide veterans. And don't get me wrong, maybe keep 1 or 2 of them,
That's what I'm saying. I don't see Fournier in the trade, because if we're giving them at least 4 picks and 2 players, it's going to be young players.
You gotta match salaries.
Yeah, somebody else.
I think Grimes is making $2 million, IQ 2-point-something million, Obi's $5 million. That's just not enough to match 25 million.
One of those vets has to be in the trade.
Maybe it's Derrick Rose, but somebody has to be in there.
I don't want the chat to think I'm a Fournier fan, so let me just get that
clear. Shameless plug. I said it earlier on Knicks and Bruises. If they do the 3-way trade with the Lakers, right? Send Westbrook to Utah. They could also throw in Horton Tucker, who's now a young player. We can throw in 2 young players. The Lakers can throw in one of their first round picks. That's one less that we have to give up. We throw in 2-3 first round picks. Now they're getting the picks and the young players that they want to get. They don't have to take on the Fournier. Fournier can go to the Lakers. Rose can go to the Lakers. Now they have some vets, some shooting, a point guard. They feel like they can compete. Utah gets what they want. We get the guy we want, and everybody ends up being happy. The Westbrook situation, they can buy him out. They can keep him for the year and have the cap space immediately, as opposed to Fournier, where they got a Fournier or whomever else that they have to wait a little bit longer for that money to come off the books. So I think that's the best route to where everybody kind of gets what they want, and we don't have to give the farm as far as young players and picks, because they get 1 of each from the Lakers, and which means 1 less pick, 1 less young guy we gotta give out in return. So I think that's the best solution.
Only thing you didn't have, did you have Randall in that situation somewhere? Where did you have Randall? You didn't say his name.
I did not have Randall. I don't think we have to. I don't think we have to include Randall.
Jarrell, we're not putting him in the trade, Jarrell.
You gotta check the oil sometimes.
And to be honest, if we're moving on from Randall, I think that's given up on this year completely. I don't think we are a definitive playoff team. Maybe we become play in, maybe we get in, maybe we don't. But I rather keep Randall. Worst case scenario, I don't think, or I should say, best case scenario, he improves his value, and now we could use him moving forward with some of the draft picks that we saved, and him being another big trade. Salary filler in a future trade to get the number 1 guy if we don't feel like we have that yet. So I think that's really the best option. And no, I did not forget to include Red. I left him out.
I'm just checking, man. Hold on now. You see Randall's name. Where he going?
Let me read this super chat. Shout out to Old Head. Appreciate you. If we trade Fournier and Cam, we won't have any small forwards. Hunt and Jeffries ain't the answer. I agree with you. But, that's where you got to go into the free agent market and see, see who else you can, who you can get, and trust me, the Knicks are doing this work already. If we trade this is how our roster would look. Who's out there in free agency? How would our team look if we plug these 2 or 3 players onto our into our team? Onto our team.
Yeah, you know that means Melo's coming back if all of that happens.
That's the only way I would want Melo to come back if 2 of those guys go. That's it. Otherwise, he could stay wherever he at, bro.
Yeah,
because it's a different team. Once you make that trade, the trajectory has changed. Is different. But let me ask the panel and maybe even the chat can chime in. Any disappointment that if we trade for Donovan Mitchell, the youth movement is over? Don't get me wrong. Yes, you're going to still have young players on this team that you're going to be developing. You can look at all of the championship, the contenders, even the Clippers. They got BJ Boston on the team. All of these teams have 1 or 2 young players that they're grooming. So it's going to be the same for the Knicks. But any disappointment, sadness that the youth movement will end, will end if we trade for Donovan Mitchell.
If it puts us perennially in the playoffs with the chance to get better and improve and strive towards our ultimate goal, nope.
You beat me to it. That's what I was gonna say. No, goodbye. It's time to win. It's time to win.
Truth be told, you got Brunson is what, 25, 26?
It's a different youth movement. You're right. You're right.
25. Spider's 25. RJ's 22. Mitchell Robinson's 24, 25.
We're still young.
I mean,
that's true.
The old head in the starting lineup is Randall, and he's only going to be 27.
Right.
So, I mean, listen, we're going to go from pre-K to middle school.
Right.
Kindergarten.
You know what I'm saying? So
it's just
that's fair.
It's just less time before we graduate. That's all it is.
Right.
Right.
We cut some years off of the rebuild because you're right. And what I like, and I've said this before, I didn't think it was the same old Knicks if we traded for young, proven players, because now your window for a championship is still rather long, actually, with these guys at 25, 22, RJ's 22. I think this is the best case scenario, actually.
And if Mitchell comes in, his contract expires the same year as Brunson, would expire likely the same year as RJ's contract when they re-sign him. So this could be strategically done. So we got a 3 or 4 year run. All the contracts will be aligned, and either we can move pieces that will be decent, able to be moved, or after this 3 or 4 year run, we can start fresh.
Yep. That's what I was saying. This deal has to be done. Like, it's the perfect time. We have everything we need for the deal to be done. So it should get done.
And all of the assets were collected for this moment. Exactly. Maybe not Donovan Mitchell per se, but for a player like him.
I just wanted to address somebody in the chat.
Yeah, you want to put it up? Let me just start.
I can't find the initial one, so I'm just Bo Ismail. He said I stole his trade idea with the 3-way trade. Then he also said, like, wow, dude, give me some credit. I want to first say I didn't steal your idea. We talked about this on Knicks and Bruce's. So unless you were there and you said it, dude, I didn't steal it. I would hate to be accused of that because it's happened to me in the past. And
I will co-sign that, because before the Knicks and Bruce's live show we did at 7:00, we had a pregame where Tony and I one-on-one were speaking about it. But salute to you both.
Yeah, and great minds think alike. That's all I'm gonna say. You know what I mean?
I'd have asked him where was Randall going to. like in his face,
Right,
it's
right,
the same exact thing that you said.
right.
Like, bro, where is Randall going?
Yeah. Keith Turner, this is what I've said. This is what I've always said. The Knicks were not, developing the young guys to be the core of a championship team. They were developing them so they could become good enough to be included in the package for a star. And I believe that was their plan. And they said as much.
Yep.
They said as much. Anything else before we get out of here? Anything we didn't talk about that you think that you want to put out to the chat and the panel?
I just don't hope people, want to crap on the trade because of like draft picks. All those magic beans we holding, we don't even cook beans good.
Yeah,
we're not even we're historically bad at drafting.
Nah,
Let those draft picks
years,
go.
Though. Not the past couple of years. These players, like they actually have drafted NBA talent versus in the past where players were drafted that,
That's true.
Like
all of them could go to you. That's what I'm saying.
Not stars,
all of them
though.
could go.
You would admit they've drawn rotation player. They've been good at finding these rotation players, and you could still do that. We're gonna still probably get the 25th. We don't even have to trade back. We probably will be getting the 25th pick.
Like once we get down with Mitchell, I don't plan on being in the lottery anymore anyway. So for us to get rid of like 4 first-round picks, give them up. We're not the best at drafting anyway, and if we're picking that low, just get Donovan Mitchell.
You just said 4 though. What if it's 6?
Okay, do it. We historically are not good at drafting, bro.
But what I will say is we've gotten better, and I feel comfortable that this front office would be able to find us some gems in the late first round where we will be picking.
Right. That's why we got all those protected first round picks, because they're probably going to turn into seconds.
Yep. And that's also why I think the Knicks will be smart to entice them with the swaps. Because we already know what our front office can do with a lower first round pick. They seek talent out there. Walt Perrin said it prior to coming here. He prefers to pick in that 20 to 25 range or 18 to 25 range as opposed to the lottery, which at the time I didn't understand it. But looking at the track record of what they've been able to do, you got to applaud it. So I make the swaps become more valuable because they looking at it like, oh, this is an opportunity to get better in the draft, where it's no, you know what I mean? Like if we're losing the 14th pick and getting the 25th, I'm not mad at it. That might be a trade we would have pulled off anyway.
Right, exactly. Like we're like I'm not holding up the trade for, like, if they want 6. Don't get me wrong. I don't want them to have, like, I don't want to give up 6. I will hold out for like 4 for me. Right. But to say if it is 5, I'm doing the deal. Especially if I don't have to. I feel like if I don't have to put in, like, say if they wanted, I don't know. I don't want to get rid of any of the young guys. But say if it's quickly, Obi and 4 first rounders, the deal is done. I'm shipping all of that to Utah quick.
And Fournier.
Right. Well, yeah, and Fournier, because he will have to be in there. Yeah, right. I'm just talking about the people that we actually want. So I kind of figured Fournier is definitely going to be in there regardless. So that's why I didn't say him. But yeah, if it's just 2 young players and 4 first-round draft picks.
Wait, not Randall?
No, not Randall. Not for that deal. We'll talk about that in another episode. Because he's still leaving. He's still going, and he's just not going in that deal, Tone. I do it, man.
It seems like
you Woj partner or something? You got some news that we don't know?
No.
Okay. I was reading somewhere. Somebody said it's going to be like a sliding scale. The more picks you give up, less players. Right. The more players you give up, the less picks.
Right. So for the people that like our young players, we want to give them draft picks.
Right.
If you want to keep our young players, if you want to keep Obi, you want to keep quickly, we're going to have to give up more picks. So you can't say you don't want to give up that many picks and keep our young players. It's not going to happen.
And me personally, the players are more valuable because you know what they are, you know what they're capable of at this moment, still have the potential to improve, grow, and get better. The draft picks, we have no idea who they are, who's available, where they're going to be, what number they're going to be. It's too much unknown to be holding on to a draft pick as compared to If you like a player and that's your guy, and you like him for whatever reason, at least you have a tangible reason as to why you don't want to include them. But to not want to include a draft pick when you have no idea who that is going to be, who's going to be available, how good they're going to be, how long it's going to take to peak, it's just
Right.
it's too much to hold on to.
You don't even know the slot position where you're going to even
Nothing.
be at.
Right.
It's too many question marks.
Can't
Yeah,
hold the trade
and
up.
even in hindsight with the Melo trade, oh look, it could have been what was his name, Jamal Murray. We may not have picked Jamal Murray. We might have picked somebody else. Or we might have picked Jamal Murray. He didn't become who he became.
Yeah,
you
we
know,
might
with
have picked
Denver.
Frank.
You know?
We might have picked Frank Ntilikina still.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like it could have been anything, man. Like leave those draft picks alone if it's going to take us getting Donovan Mitchell. That's
right,
all.
and another reason. Shout out to Andre Bryant. To his point, we're not sitting on Denver's. Excuse me. We're not sitting on Detroit's core. We're not sitting on OKC's core. Players that you could say, you know what, they have a really good chance of one day becoming a star in this league. I don't think we're sitting on that type of core, which is why I'm okay trading them. But this would be a tough decision if we were sitting on Chet Holmgren and Giddey.
Yes, completely.
This would be a tough for this. Now we saw. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
I think
different. Like
I think we just need to just let these guys marinate, let them rock. Or if we were sitting on Cade Cunningham and Ivy and Doran, I don't know if I would be so gung ho about Donovan. Like, let them guys rock.
Right.
I just don't think we're sitting on those type of players.
And
DJ Shuttle.
To just shoot some feedback to one of the brothers in the chat, Paris Duggar, it's not like the hate is not on Obi and on IQ, but just in comparison, like Steph's alluding to, you know, if we were sitting on Shea and Chet Holmgren, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Those are guys that you look at as potential NBA All-Stars.
Cornerstones.
Yeah.
Cornerstone. Shout out to Cavs.
Like IQ is not a cornerstone player even on his best future days. Obi maybe could have an all-star or two in him down the road. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes someplace else and we're like, wow, we could have had Obi doing that. I could, we should have never traded him. I can see that, but sometimes you gotta make a tough call. It's a tough call. It's not like you just Obi's horrible, he sucks. But we're getting a bona fide all-star cornerstone player that will improve the team and make it more attractive to bring more players in the near future.
Facts.
Yeah. The bowling chick, you wanted to say something?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I mean, nothing that you guys haven't already said. Like Jarrell said specifically, I'm not gonna let two players that I love on the team be hold up the entire trade. We need to make this trade, but I don't want every single young player we have going. I think there's a happy medium, that we can take and go from there. And I just don't see who else we have to compete with other than Miami. I think a lot of the Miami smoke that we're hearing is just that, is smoke and fear. And that's what the media does anyway, especially when it comes to New York, which is why they're not even having media at Jalen Brunson's thing tomorrow. Like, so anyway.
Okay. One thing I'll say about Miami, I was discounting them earlier, like last week, but I think they really are a threat if they can pull off a trade for one of these young guys that Denver, what's the team? Utah's not they don't want. If they can flip one of their young guys for draft compensation to add to the trade, similar to what I'm saying with the Lakers, us doing with the Lakers, they can become a threat. So I wouldn't discount them completely because they're a savvier organization. So
true indeed.
Which is more reason to make the move now and stop procrastinating.
Because I think the longer you wait, the more you give teams an opportunity to come up with a 3-team trade and a this and a that. Daji, I hope I'm saying your name right, has a question for us. would any of you have done the proposed trade that Leon walked away from? And what is too high a price for you? I would have done it. I just think, I
What was
think
the
it was
trade?
3, it was 6 first round draft picks. I'm a mix of protected and unprotected, I'm assuming. Because you, and let's keep in mind, first round picks, your own first round pick, you can only trade every other year. So the Knicks would still have their own
Right.
first round draft pick every other year. So it's not like we
Right.
won't make any moves until
Yeah, I think
2030.
a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, every other year the Knicks will be making a pick. I want to say it was 3 players and 6 first round draft picks.
3 players and 6 picks is a lot, to be
I thought it
honest.
was 4 players.
I think it
I
was
think it
four.
might have been
talking-
4.
It
It
was.
might have been
That's
4.
why I
four.
said no earlier. I
was
would
Might
not
have,
have
I
done
think
that
it might
trade.
have been 4 players.
I would have.
Yes.
I wouldn't have cared about the players. I would have got the picks down at least a little bit. Like 4 players, 4 picks. Don't not 4 players, 6 picks.
But remember,
Yeah,
those
that-
6 picks, all of
And
them are
plus,
not ours.
I was about to say, I would like to know the combination of the
Yeah,
protected ones
that
and the
does make a
unprotected.
difference.
That
That
makes
does
a
make a
huge
difference.
difference to me.
And that's why I think the swaps are valuable, because if they fall for the whole swap thing, the only
They
way
ain't
they
falling
become
for nothing with
the
Danny
only
Ainge.
the only way it becomes valuable to them is if they end up with a better record than us. You know what I mean? Because then we'll have the better pick than they would. The chances of that happening are slim. So if it's first round pick 1 year, next year swap, first round pick next year swap, I don't even think that is bad for us, because we shouldn't be in a position to where their picks are less valuable than ours.
I would have did it. I know it's a lot, but when you look at the Paul George trade, you look at all these other trades, those teams gave up a lot.
That's true.
So
I would do it. I trust our front office to be able to. We'll still have something in the cupboard. We'll still have draft picks left. We'll still have young players left. We'll still be able to make moves. We'll still have our pick every other year. And it's not like, and Mitch, and he's young. He's 25. You know, it's not like we getting him at 33. And now we don't have no assets. We can't build a team. He's no longer on the team. I would have did it, even though it's a lot.
So the deal
Is
was
Spider and Brunson better than Marbury and Steve? What is that? I don't
How
understand.
old?
There was an
Can
age and semantic age
I
difference
don't
there.
get it.
Can I answer it though?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because absolutely, Marbury was my guy. I'm sorry, but Steve Francis was past his prime. We're getting 2 guys who potentially have not even reached their prime yet.
Exactly.
So
Right.
Are they better at this particular stage? Yes.
Yes.
And they should be getting even better, both of them, Brunson and Mitchell. So absolutely better than Marbury and Francis at the time that we had them both.
and Steph.
Shout out to Coney Island, Abraham Lincoln.
So Steph, the deal was 6 first round picks, Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickly, and Obi Toppin. But I don't see how that could have been possible without another player to
The money don't
To
match.
make it work.
maybe Rose was going to be included in that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
I can see them not
but
trying to get
the
rid of
main
Rose.
point being it was 6 first round picks.
But remember, 3 of those picks we picked up. Even if those 3 picks are not going to be included, we're still going to have them, and some of them do have protections on it. And we just picked those picks up this during the draft
Right.
for this moment.
I think
So we
one
didn't
was
even have those.
Milwaukee, Detroit,
Right.
Detroit, and I think we still got Dallas, right?
Right. So it's like we picked
Right.
them up and we're gonna hand them over to you. That's gonna, make it better for us. It's not like those are, our picks per se.
And the Milwaukee and the Mav picks are most
Those are
likely
valuable.
they're gonna convert.
And
You know what I mean?
Denver. And Denver.
I'm not familiar with
Denver's
the
is
restriction.
Yeah, because Dallas
on
is
that one.
protected to 10.
And
Milwaukee
only
to 4 or 5. 4? Okay.
Yeah, only 4. So it's very unlikely that they are that bad to where they get a top 4 pick.
Right.
Aw.
And Dallas, I mean, you never know how valuable Brunson actually was to their success, but I don't see them falling into the top 10 in the lottery this coming year. So
the Denver pick is 1 to 14 protected.
Also, again, value in there as well. I don't think they become a lottery team. So I
don't
think the
either.
only ones that aren't as valuable are what Detroit,
and Washington.
Yeah.
So
and truth be told, Detroit, with the players and the moves that they made,
you never know.
You know, by 2 or 3 years from now, they're not going to be 1 to 11 or 1 to 9,
Right.
and those
The protections go down each year.
Exactly.
Right. So, in a couple of years, that Detroit pick could be a first round pick. Washington maybe is the one I'd say, who knows? But Denver and Detroit, those are those are going to pan out as first round picks.
Shy would do that.
The only concern I have with that is we're giving up both picks in the same year, so now we don't have a first round pick at all. My preference would be
we got 4 of them, but the other 2 might not convey. We got 4 picks next year.
I know, but if we give up our 23 and the Mavs 23, we don't have a first round pick that year because those other ones are unlikely to convey. If we give up 25 and 25 of our own and 25 of the Bucks, now we leave ourselves with no first round pick. So I would give up our years for those picks and keep the Mavs and the
Bucks.
The Bucks picks.
I don't even care.
Even
Who are
if
we
they're
getting
late,
out of that draft that that's gonna play and make this team?
Here's my thing. It's not gonna stop me from making a trade, but if I'm structuring it, I would
try to keep it out.
Yeah, keep it so even if I have a pick and it's the Bucks, maybe it's the 30th pick, but at least I have one as opposed to not having one at all. But it's not going to stop me.
But the Knicks got rid of their picks this year.
I was about to say,
that's a fact. That's a fact.
I was about to say, depending on how the roster look, Leon's just going to trade that pick too,
or flip it,
or flip it for something,
or flip it.
So I ain't that concerned, but it's fun times.
Man,
if we give up our picks, you're right. If those picks may not be as valuable, but this is the thing. And this is what the Knicks front office has to do that, in my opinion, they didn't do with the Carmelo trade. You can't be so happy over just getting in Donovan that you forget that you still got to build a team around him. Your moves after you get them have to be just as savvy. When you think about that Carmelo trade, there was some moves, some little moves I wouldn't have made that I think could have took the Knicks in another direction.
That's the important thing. I don't think with Melo I think they made the wrong moves. It wasn't that they didn't try to, build the team according to Melo. I think they did, but they made the wrong decisions.
I mean, you got
which is just as important moving forward.
Right. Listen, say what we want. Randall was just an all-star and an All-NBA player last year. You give him a way better point guard. You bring in Spider. You got RJ coming into, year 4, only 22 years old. I mean, is that not enough players?
And they all young.
Mitch is young. I'm saying they're going to grow for the next 3-4 years.
Is that not enough players that in 2 to 3 years that plus you got Mitchell, you got Hardenstein, you got Sims likely returning? I mean, is that really not enough of a team that you feel like, okay, now we got to go get another player? And really, what position are we going to get? The only thing that you could really be doing is either trading Randall to get a better power forward, or you're not happy with Brunson and you want to get a bigger point guard. So you decide, all right, well, we keep Brunson for a year or two, and then we trade him. Those are really the only 2 positions where you're gonna really need to do anything or want to do anything. So to me, it's not like it's a lot of moves to really, really, truly make, unless again a power forward that you like better than Randall you want to trade for. But I mean,
or a small forward that you like better than RJ. Because if Brandon Ingram becomes available, I'm hopping on that.
Yeah, signing trade.
I'm sorry.
Damn.
Signing trade.
I'm sorry.
Signing trade. Not for nothing. That could happen. Appease Zion a little bit more. You know what I mean? Bring him his guy. And
RJ.
And get Ingram. I'm not advocating it. I love RJ. I want us to have somebody we built through the draft, but when we talking about trying to win and win now, you know what I mean? I'm
Brandon
all for
Ingram is on the cusp, right?
Now all of a sudden,
But-
bowling chick not having
me-
fun no more. Look at that. Ain't fun no
you
more.
just
Huh?
stabbed
We
me
talk about the
hard.
trade now, Jay.
I mean,
let me
then
ask you guys.
Then
Let me read
include
this
Reddish
super
in the
chat.
trade too.
Right.
Say that again.
All the Duke. I said are we including Reddish in that trade too? Just take
All the
all the
Duke.
Duke boys.
Yep.
See,
They can have
We
both of
taking
them.
your heart and your lungs.
oh
They can
man,
have both of them.
listen.
Let me clock out.
This,
No, go
I
ahead.
don't want to include both either, but hey,
For
they-
Brandon,
I mean, I like. Y'all know how I
okay.
feel. Y'all know how I feel.
Y'all don't have to make me
I-
happy. I'll just be upset by myself. It's okay.
listen,
Shout out
it
to Paris
hurts me
Duggar.
too.
Thank God for Leon Rose because y'all are bugging. I mean,
I
all
think
right, you
Leon
know.
Rose agree with us.
I mean,
Come
I
on,
don't think we're
come on,
bugging. I
Paris.
think that we all agree, and I think even the most people in the chat agree that Donovan Mitchell is better than any of our young guys, and that you would agree that I don't think any of our young guys are going to be better than Donovan Mitchell. Now, obviously, we
No,
don't
but
know
no.
that with 100% certainty.
Right.
But I'm not putting my money on none of these young guys to be better than Donovan Mitchell. Three-time All-Star at 25, 26, and has yet to enter his prime. Come on, you got an opportunity to do that.
Queen, you know
You
what
gotta-
it is?
RJ's coming.
Obi and IQ,
I
Obi and
agree with you.
IQ are their boys. Is his boys. So he don't want to give him up. But if they gotta include in the trade for Donovan, bye, man. Paris, you just gotta deal with it, bro.
Because you're gonna have to pay
It
those
is what it
guys.
is.
How much are you gonna pay Obi and IQ when their contract comes up and they're playing 12 and 16 minutes behind Brunson and Randall?
They might
How
have
much are
to
you
trade.
paying those guys?
I guess he think Dolan got money.
I got a question
That's the
for
race.
you guys.
Yeah.
You know, we got Brunson. The questions came up. Is he a number one guy, right?
Paris, I'm gonna give you this, and then that's it. That's it. This is all you getting tonight.
So wait.
Come on, Paris.
You said
Come on.
See, I told you, Coach.
That's it. No more shine. You can give us a $50 super chat. No more shine.
Oh, no, that's a challenge. Go ahead, Parrish. Put in your $50.
I told you that those are his boys. You don't want to get him up.
45. No wonder you don't want Spider.
I think
I wouldn't want him either.
I think he was talking about the Drew League.
The Drew League.
Not
But
the Drew.
no, so check me out. We got Brunson. Everybody's like, he's not a number one guy. Not a number one guy. He might be number two. We're talking about getting Spider. I'm hearing a lot of talks that he's not a number one guy. He's not a number guy. He might be number two. We've seen what we have from Randall at his best. Everybody kept saying still he's not a number one guy. Not a number one guy. He might be number two. RJ, I think you can make that same argument.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, how good can we be with 4 number twos and no number one? No, this is I think
Detroit
this is
Pistons 2003.
And I was gonna bring them up because I think you can make an argument that they had 2 number threes or three number threes and a number two. You know what I mean? Like, who was the definitive number 2 guy on that roster?
4 number twos.
You know what I mean? I think they have. You could argue they have 4 number threes. Really, you know what I mean? Maybe Chauncey might be the closest to a number 2, but everybody else, I think you can make an argument that they were number 3 guys. Maybe number 4. So, don't sleep on 4 number 2s and us not having a number 1 and us being able to produce and compete in the playoffs.
Right.
So
I think Spider is a number 1 though.
I think he is too.
I think he is too.
Yeah.
He's a closer. He's a winner. You've seen him in the playoffs.
He hasn't even reached his prime yet.
I don't disagree with you guys, but I'm talking about the consensus.
Even if that's not the case, what you're saying is fine.
Yeah, I think he has number 1 potential as well. But they, obviously they grade that off of him not bringing it home for Utah. But if he did,
that was just last year though. I mean,
I mean actually winning a chip or even going to the finals. Because if you look at the numbers statistically from that draft class, he's the number one guy in that draft class. He's number one in points. He's number one in he's number one in 3 out of 4 categories. The 4th category, he's number 3. You know what I mean? Like better numbers than Tatum. You know, better numbers than a lot of these, all of these guys. And then the people who will make the argument for Tatum, you can only base it off of this year where he finally made it to the finals. Because had he not, you know what I mean? Had he got bounced in the first, second, you know, third round, I think you would have these same arguments about Tatum. Or you couldn't have that argument that Tatum's better. I think you can now because of where he's reached. But prior to this year, I think there was definitive argument that Mitchell is the best guy in that class.
And Mitchell took a team that really ain't had a whole lot and went to the playoffs his first season. He 5 in a row, but his first season he went to the playoffs, and you know, I mean, he been dropping, you know, a dub all 5 seasons, and he been clutch. And even though his percentages fluctuated a little bit here and there, he's been clutch. He's made game-winning shots. You know what I'm saying? After game-winning shot, and with little offensive talent around him, he still managed to be the guy and deliver. So, you know, I mean, you give him a decent point guard like Brunson, a decent big man down low that could score like Randall, in and out, a hardworking guy like RJ. I mean, it's gonna be the best starting 5 he's ever played with. So
and the rim runner in Mitch.
And the rim runner in Mitch, you know, and
youth and energy that he lacked around him. So now the window becomes wider.
Now I think Mitchell will excel, and like I said earlier, you just got to just get a little bit more run and gun in the offense. Stop waiting for Randall. Don't wait for Randall. Don't let Randall bring it up. Everybody go. Run the lanes. Get out there. D'Antoni ball. Shoot it up quick. We ain't waiting for nobody. We trying to outscore you because we're not gonna be able to stop you.
Facts.
Man,
Last question. Go ahead, Jarrell.
I was just gonna say, just like what Harlem Girl said, it seemed like every time somebody is linked to us, all of a sudden the D value comes down.
No matter who it is,
it
can't be saved.
The way this league has talked about Donovan Mitchell since he's been drafted, you would have to be foolish to think that he does not belong on this team compared to who else is on there. Like, we don't have anybody that could reach up to there. Like, Donovan Mitchell will be our best player by far on this team if we get him on there.
In years.
Like, it's been a very long time if we had an all-star like that. He's a consensus all-star. He's only 25 years old.
Since Melo.
Like, for people to say he's not, like, he can't play defense. He's played defense before. I think it's a completely different situation now with Utah. Like, he was the only person being able to get his own shot on offense. He was their whole offense on that team. So of course he took a backseat when it came to defense a little bit. But like, come on.
Jarrell, you know what I hear everybody else saying too? Is that I wish that he would just come out and say he want to come to me.
Why? He don't have to do that though.
And in a sense,
no, but I'm just saying some people will want him to do it.
That devalues him, whether it's his character or a reason for them to kind of play hardball a little bit more. Like right now, I think, like I said on the show earlier, he's playing chess too. He's out here in New York showcasing. You know what I mean? Granted, he has family here and he has reason to be here, but he's feeding into the narrative, into the speculation, into us giving us content. You know what I mean? With the New York shirts, the New York hoodies,
and he's doing it without saying a word.
Without getting fined.
He had an Islanders jersey on the other day. It ain't even hockey season no more.
But often when you have deals like these that are pending, it's like, yo, listen, bro, we're going to work with you. We're going to get the deal done. But we don't need you out here on the media and social media talking all crazy, because if you do that, you're going to be killing us. So keep your mouth closed. We'll get the deal done. That's why you have an agent represent you, and the agent gets the message from the team, and they tell the player that, and hopefully he's playing the game smart.
Right. Shout out to Dodgy Graybeard. Highest ceiling right now, Jalen Brown or Spider? Ooh,
Well, I mean, if you're looking at
that's a good question.
overall, Brown is a two-way player, but
Mhm.
he is nowhere near the offensive player that Spider is
No
already.
way.
And if you're looking at the trajectory that Spider is not done and he's going to improve, I don't think Brown can reach him. I don't think he can catch up. Even if Brown continues to get better offensively, I expect Spider to do so as well. So um I think Brown is like just a piece where Spider can be the missing piece.
Okay.
Right. And
Sharon,
they're
I
the same age, I
disagree.
think.
Mitchell is not better than Randall.
At
Come on.
what?
We just saw Randall.
Rebounding.
We just saw
That's
Randall
about it.
implode.
Stop, man. Like,
You
don't
know
do
what I mean?
this.
And I'm a Randall supporter. And I want him here on this team because I want him to rebound two ways. Emotionally, I want him to rebound. And then also, I think with
Emotional.
Brunson and hopefully Donovan coming, his role is going to change, and I think you're going to see a more efficient Randall, less turnovers, better decision making because he's not going to be asked to do a lot. All of that being said, he's not better than Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Randall can't even carry this team. You know
Right.
what I mean? So yeah, I disagree. I disagree with that.
The NBA disagrees. I mean, Randall is just a one-time All-Star. Don't get me wrong; he had a very good season a couple years ago, got us to the fourth seed. But Donovan Mitchell is a consensus All-Star for the past 3 seasons, and he's younger than Randall.
Brennan, is that Akavetti or Lakavetti? Sims, McBride, Grimes can go. Want to keep Obi and Quick? Rather keep Quick so Ivy, Grimes, Sims, Evans, four first. Not mad. Still have RJ, Mitch, Quick, etc.
But they
Exception.
can't. They can't
Can't trade
trade
Sims.
Sims. So it will be
Yeah, they can't trade
Obi,
Sims.
Grimes, Evan,
And
and four first. I'll take it. Give me
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell.
I mean, I think, listen, if the Knicks decide that Randall is their guy, then you might as well just move on from Obi. There's just no minutes,
Right.
you know?
Yeah,
In
you can't
you
have
know,
both.
yeah,
You, you,
there's just no minutes.
you can't have both. And I think you were alluding to it earlier, Steph, or maybe it was Tone, that if you trade Randall and you're starting Obi, Obi hasn't really proven that he could handle this type of situation. Being the leader, being the starter, carrying 30 plus minutes a game. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you did it for 5 games at the end of one season. Like, I mean, it was nice and it was very encouraging. If there was no deal getting done and he comes back and he's a backup power forward, I'm here for it. I love it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even mad if the team runs it without Spider. But, um, yo, Obi could go, bro. I hate to say it like that because he's New York and I love his energy and spirit, but I mean, you got to make the tough decisions, man. That's what it's about. It's not only how
That's a
you
good
feel about
point.
the players. You got to make the tough decisions, man.
and just to
Bro,
add
I
on,
haven't seen a championship from the Knicks since I was born. I want to see one.
I don't think
Everybody in the
any of us have.
70s and the early 70s seen one. You know what I mean? So I want to see one, bro.
The only pushback that I'll give on the Obi take is I do think he can coexist with Randall. I think by the end of the season, he kind of showed more to Tibbs, and Tibbs acknowledged that. And I think the hardest way for him to find minutes moving forward is the closer Randall gets back to himself of the year prior. Now, you know what I mean? If Randall is producing at that level with that efficiency or even better, then yeah, I think it will be hard for Obi. But at this point, I think Randall is gonna need a rest. Um, and he's gonna have a shorter leash. So mistakes, bad games. I don't know if he gets to play through them for 38 minutes, and I see Obi getting at least the opportunity to showcase. And what I'll say to Obi is, you can't worry about that. You got to play through whatever minutes you get. and produce. You can't worry about making mistakes. You can't have confidence issues if Randall's here, and then all of a sudden your confidence shoots if he's out for a game and you get in the starting minutes. You need to produce whenever you get those minutes, and that's how most of the guys earn their spots. Grimes, Sims, Quickly, like they earned it by playing through the time that they got, and
It was
becoming
5 minutes,
and becoming
7 minutes,
comfortable.
whatever they got. They showed, hey, listen, coach, you saw what I did. Give me a few more minutes. Whereas Obi is like, well, if you don't get 15 minutes or more, then he's not comfortable. Like, come on, bro, you got to figure it out.
Is anybody other than myself, and I'll say this to the chat, because I think there's a large contingent of the fan base that just wants Randall out at all costs. Nobody's hopeful though, that like nobody feels like, wow, 2 years ago this guy played a certain way, and no, he may not ever get back to that. However, if you pair him with a Brunson and you pair him with Donovan Mitchell, nobody wants to fall back on, that Randall could be successful, or are we just still thinking that this is who he was last season and that's it? There's no redemption. He's not going to get better no matter who you bring in. That's who you pointing to, Staffer?
Is it you or
No. Jarrell. Can Jarrell go first?
Okay, I'll go first.
Oh, well, damn.
Nah, don't get me wrong. I still think Randall is a good player. I just don't think he was the right fit for this team as the leader. But since you do have Brunson and Mitchell coming in here, then yes, he will be a better fit. Like it'll be obvious. Like the offense wouldn't have to go through him. He wouldn't have to work as hard. But yeah, if we don't get Mitchell though, we gotta ship him out. Like he gotta go.
You don't think Brunson will be enough?
No.
Wow. Okay.
If Donovan Mitchell gets there, it has to be enough. He knows he has to take a back seat. I don't think he knows he has to take a back seat to Jalen Brunson just because he's the point guard. But if Donovan Mitchell comes in there, it's a completely different story.
I can see where you're going with that. I mean, at least Mitchell's been an all-star for 3 years. He's been a somewhat face of the NBA.
Right.
Like no matter how much you look at your own self as the man,
right?
You got to be honest with yourself and see what Spider's done in the league, and and if you got a respectable circle, they're gonna tell him the same thing.
I mean, the writing will be on the walls. Like if we trade for Donovan Mitchell, Randall know who Donovan Mitchell is and how we got him. So yeah, the writing will be on the wall. They know he would know that Donovan Mitchell will be the number one guy. Like it's just common sense.
My only pushback with that is, and I think that is a possibility. Mm-hmm. That is definitely a possibility. But my only pushback with that is Brunson has the right to say, "Hey man, you see what I did last year? Like you see who I played next to last year? You see what happened when he went out and I had to take over the realm. You know what I mean? And then the nepotism. He got his dad right there, right there.
And plus, to be honest, to your point, Tony, like Jalen Brunson doesn't have the type of personality to go like behind Randall anyway, like to act like he's the man. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't like Jalen Brunson's a dog, so he's going to want to lead.
He's going to lead.
Yeah, he's going to lead.
He's a leader.
Right. So and when Randall is running behind him, clapping his hands for the ball, he's gonna look at him like, yeah, okay, wait for it.
Yeah, right. Go get in position. I'll get you the ball.
Yep.
Shout out to Trav.
Definitely Brunson. Go ahead, Queen. Read the super chat.
Shout out to Trav B. Ryan. Appreciate you for the super chat. Nope, because that would mean people would have to admit they were wrong.
He's referring to the Randall.
Yeah, are you more hopeful? Yeah, would you be more hopeful?
So that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not.
Brunson comes in, you know what I mean?
Like I don't hate Randall to the point that I'm not trading Randall for like a ham sandwich.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't hate him like that because I just want us to win.
Randall or Mitch? Yes, you do. Which one? Do you have
a better
more
player?
No, that you.
Want on the team more?
Yeah, would keep. and trade.
I guess Mitch, just because he's less of a problem. Like Mitch, I mean, on offense, he's nothing on offense. But you know what I mean? But on defense, he's our defensive anchor.
Let me
He's pretty good. Randall is more of a head
That's
case
saying
and
a lot, though.
hold up,
leadership
hold up,
problem.
hold up. With the
Well,
team currently constructed as is,
Mhm.
you could only pick out of those two. You picking Mitch?
Yes.
So with Sims available to fill in as some of what Mitch gives,
Mhm.
who's filling in what we get, even with a bad Randall? Who's filling in with his
Oh,
production?
no. Well, that means like I'm switching my focus to RJ and building around him. Like it won't be around Randall. Like if I get rid of Randall, obviously I'm going to get something for him, and I'm building around RJ. If Donovan Mitchell isn't here, that's all.
That says a lot.
I'm just saying, like
It does say a lot.
I'm not like I wouldn't build my team around Randall if that's the question.
But you know what I love about you, Jarrell? Like even though you fit in that mode of wanting Randall gone,
Mhm.
it's not the end all be all.
Right.
You're not illogical
Right.
about it. You don't, if it's gonna make the team worse or suffer, you're not saying get rid of Randall. So that's why I respect you.
It's not personal at all. I just want to win.
Nah, he's entitled. He's entitled to his opinion, but at least he's logical. He's logical. He's logical in it. You know what I mean? There's fans out there that they don't care if we win 20 games, 15 games next year. If that means getting rid of Randall in the process, that they look at that as collateral damage. You know what I mean? They look.
I was on record as saying that Mitch was replaceable multiple times on here, and I wanted Jalen Duren in the draft. We ended up trading Jalen Duren and signing Mitch, and I'm not upset. It's just what I wanted personally, but it's nothing personal against Mitch. If it makes the team better, I'm cool.
Well, I definitely like Mitch more in this veteran type, young veteran type team. Eddie F. Bullius has a long way to go to get back on any kind of terms with the fan. I don't think that should be his focus, though.
Hold on.
I don't think that should be his focus at all.
Yo, I'm telling you, so disrespectful.
I have heard that.
I mean, if Julius is focusing on repairing his relationship with the fans, he's focusing on the wrong things.
Right, that's true. He needed to
Your
go
job
out
is to focus on going out there, playing better, being a two-way player, getting your mind right.
Salute.
And if the fans turn around and get on your side, fine. And if they don't, fine.
And I say even better. If they don't, guess what? Keep doing what you're doing, because that's what's most important. Like, and it's only gonna make you stronger mentally. If you playing well through the boos and through the fans not supporting, that's only gonna make you a better player.
Yo,
you know what I mean?
Salute to him for pulling up to the summer league too, because he could have ran in hid and not popped out. He's like, no, I'm out here. You know what I'm saying?
Because he don't want to get traded. That's why.
Listen, whether he was there or not, he can still be traded.
That is true.
You know what I'm saying? Because we know Cam's is on the block. We know IQ is on the block. It's everybody's on the block right now.
Free Cam Reddish.
All right.
Free Cam Reddish.
Any last word? Great show. I appreciate you, Tony, DJ Shuttle, Jarrell, Staffer, the bowling chick. This was a great show. Appreciate you all coming through.
I agree. Can I give one more shameless plug?
Yeah.
Shout out to the chat. You asked, did we talk about the Randall Westbrook trade? If you just go back after the stream and go to Knicks and Bruises or check out my last video, we talked about it there. Myself, the Queen, DJ Shuttle, and so yeah, we did talk about it. It just was prior to the show. Queen, great show, all stars starting five. You have me moving to the six man because you got the starting five. I don't. It's for the team. So if I'm better off the bench, I'm gonna go to the bench and play that 6-man role. But you always got the great panel, and I'm aspiring to get the panel like you every week. And I appreciate you on every week with me. DJ Shuttle, I appreciate you on today with me as well. like Queen says, you got a key now, so you can come in anytime. You know what I mean?
Anytime. And listen, if there's anybody out there that want to be on the show, you know, if you want to be on Queen's Court, just DM Sim. If you want to be on Dope Soul Sports Talk, you can catch me at bksteph33@gmail.com. That's bksteph33@gmail.com. I go on every Tuesday at 9 p.m. I just put my link in the chat. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.
Press that
And
like
if you
button.
again, Mondays 8 p.m. Queens Court. If you're interested, you could just go to Nothing But Knicks, and you can DM Sim. Murdoch Queen, you know I want to be on the show. Hey, I'm whoever wants to be on the show is totally fine. All right, I'm gonna stop spamming. I think I put it in like 6 times. Stop spamming.
Let them know.
And I do want to extend the invite to Bowling Chick. I appreciate you you know, supporting my channel as well as Queen's channel, and you know, so I didn't want to leave you out because this is the first time I shared the panel with you. But I've seen you. I've been watching the you know, the past couple of streams you was on. I'm like, all right, I like the takes and the chat. And the chat loves it too, because you know they was on fire with support as well.
Yep. So hopefully you can join us tomorrow. You put in your panel hours. You might have a show of your own after a while. Once you get
how many I have to work for a show? How many panels I have to be on for a show? Damn. That might take a little bit. I'll be in tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
And sometimes it's not about hours. You know, if you're valued in a shorter amount of time, it's like overtime. It's double hours. So
you get double points.
Double points.
So 500 shows before I give up. I'm playing, but thank
Quality
you so much
shows.
for the invite.
If you fall asleep, we take off 30 minutes. Quality shows.
I love crazy.
Damn.
9 o'clock Tuesdays, Dope Soul Sports Talk.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, tune in tomorrow.
Any last words? Or
not really? Just peace, love, and blessings, Queen. You already know it's always a fun time on the show. And fellas, and not fellas, but Knicks fans, it was just a summer league game. Relax. It was just to see what these guys could do. You know, showcase. It's not the end of the world. All right. So shout out to the chat. Shout out to the panel. Much love and respect. Blessings.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell.
And shout out to Simeon Russell, the creator of this channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification button so you'll be notified anytime we go live. And the salute to the MBK fam. We tight, man. We real tight. So appreciate the MBK fam.
See,
he used to stay asleep.
See. So if you don't got the button, you don't got the Big Bubba's own soundtrack song.
Oh my god.
I definitely just want to salute Sim as well. You know, for bringing me on board for the draft parties, and because of Sim and connecting me, you know, now that allowed us to be able to connect and be on a platform today. So you definitely salute to him. Salute to all the people in the chat. I mean, Paris with the great takes and the super chats, Daji and everybody else. Because you know it doesn't you know do us any value if only the 6 of us are doing this talking and nobody's watching, commenting and giving the vibe. Because
no doubt,
as a DJ, when I'm playing music and I'm doing the radio show, which I do every Friday on 108 Soul iHeartRadio.
That's right.
When I'm doing the show and people are hitting me on my social media like, oh, that's my jam. Oh, you rocking right now. You know. I don't know who's listening unless I get feedback like that. So getting that engagement is definitely extremely important. So, you know, I know everybody on the panel today appreciates it.
Absolutely.
And if you want to catch me, once again, live on 108 Soul, you can catch me on iHeartRadio every Friday night, 8 to 10. Classics, hip-hop, R&B, reggae, soca, Afrobeat. I mix everything up. And this Friday, I will be live on location at a spot in Long Island. So if you're in the area, Queens, Brooklyn, Long Island, you want to pull up, you know, I'll give you the details. They're not paying for the promo, so I can't say where I'm going to be at. But if you hit me, I could tell you. You know what I'm saying? Because that, you know what I'm saying, that's value right there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a whole different situation. So
negotiations.
I'm just saying, we out here.
Appreciate you. All right. Until next time, be easy.
Peace.